So, watching the video, I'm assuming you know about Tyk-Operator. You probably watched part one of the video, and now you're about to watch part two. And what I'm going to focus on is idempotency. So, there's a really important concept of idempotency. It means that we can recreate the same state many times without having to worry about changes. And we'll see what that looks like in the Tyke universe. So we're going to, again, I really recommend you watch part one of this before you watch part two. Otherwise, a lot of this will be out of context. So continuing on from where we were. So let's check what we have in our kube config here in our Kubernetes environment. So I have kubectl get tyke policies. We can see we have nothing. Tyke APIs, we have nothing. And if I was to flip on over to the control plane, yeah, I'll just show you. We have nothing and no policies. And so now I'm going to create an API, bare bones, protected by auth token. So we're going to apply API access, and now we can see that this API definition gets created. So if I do k get tyke APIs, now it's there. Also, if I want to see the other CRDs, I would just do k get CRDs, and I can see all of those there. Okay, cool. So now let's go check our API. So here's our API. All is good. Now, if I try to access this, I would visit my control plane URL. So I would copy this, and I would make a curl request to, I believe that was that same API, except let's go HTTPS, and then I want the /HTTP bin endpoint for this API, and then I'll do the get endpoint on my API, and we get a not found, and that's because we haven't loaded a tag on this API. So with Aura, the expectation is you explicitly have to choose which clusters to load your gateway to load your API to, excuse me. So here we can see in my control plane, I have one edge gateway. I can, of course, add more, but for now, I have one. And the tags for this gateway are edge and AWS US East 1. And so in order to load the API on this gateway cluster, I have to have at least one of these tags on my API. So of course, we could go and add that tag manually through the control plane, but that's no fun. We're going to be doing it through YAML. And also, YAML becomes our source of truth when we're using YAML, so we have to continue to do that. So now I'm going to add a tags, and it's an array, and I'll add edge, for example. And now if I have edge, I'll just add other ones, hello, world. These are just arbitrary strings, but edge so happens to match what we have and what my cloud expects. So now those are there. And so now, if I go ahead and I apply this again, it will pick up the changes and it says configured. And so if we go back to our control plane, here's our API. I'll just refresh to make sure we're on the latest copy. And then go to advanced options. And now we can see under tags, we have edge, hello, and world. And so now, if I try to make that same API call, we'll do a curl. And now instead of getting a not found, we're getting an authorization field missing because our gateway cluster has now loaded this API definition. So before I move on to the key part, I'll just mention that you can see here that I can edit this and update it, which doesn't make sense now because this is now out of sync with my YAML. So the right thing to do is set up your RBAC and for users. So when a user logs into the system, they only have read access to the parts that you're managing via YAML, such as APIs in this example. So for this example, you would give people write access and then only read access ever for the APIs because that's because we're managing those through a different medium. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to create a key that gives me access to the API that I just created. Add a key, choose my API, HTTP bin protected, and then create key. Oops. Do not expire. Okay, great key. And now I have my key. Now I can go back here and I can add a header, authorization, and paste that key in. And now we have access to my API, and we can see we receive a JSON response from my API upstream. So now let's go ahead and delete this API. So k delete Tyke APIs. Whoops, I had that right. Tyke APIs. HTTP bin API. So now that's deleted. And I manually deleted it, but just pretend there was some kind of disaster scenario where that got deleted. Your cluster went down, your configuration got down, whatever it was. If you're running on-prem, if you're running on SaaS, some kind of disaster scenario happened. And so now our customers using our APIs, if the gateways even come back up, when it comes back up, they get a not found. Not good. And so how do we fix this? Well, when you're using declarative configurations like we've done, this is not so much as a disaster as it is a case of downtime. What do I mean by that? Well, let's just go ahead and apply our API again. So our API has been applied. The Tyk-Operator has created this resource, and now we have an API again. And so, well, what happens if I try to make another curl? Well, it actually works. This is extremely powerful. How is it that a key that used to exist to an old API is continuing to work after my API has been deleted and recreated? And that's because the Tyk-Operator is designed with idempotency in mind. And so if we go into our API here, we can see that we have an API ID, and the API ID has some magic in it. So I've copied it. I'm going to paste it in here and then pipe that through a base64 decoder, and we see we actually get back plain text. And the plain text is we have the namespace slash the name of the metadata unique name in that namespace. So why is this important? Well, as you can see, there's all of our API configurations now are stored declaratively. So we can essentially pick up and shift our complete environment, at least for API configurations so far, as the Tyk-Operator is being built, to a completely different environment. So this API can be moved to a completely separate environment and have the exact same configuration, meaning a key that worked for one environment will work for this exact same API in another environment. Again, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. Thanks a lot.